everyone, how y'all doing? This is Carrie Irizarry with Armored in Truth, and I wanted to just give you a little update. So I've been doing the carnivore-ish carnivore diet, probably the longest I've ever done it. It's probably been 3 weeks to a month. I say carnivore-ish because there are still times that I eat carbs. There's still times and days that I just eat meat or eggs, you know, anything that has to do with carnivore. But something strange is happening. You know, they say that if you eat carnivore for a few days, your cravings disappear. I haven't experienced that because unfortunately I haven't, you know, I don't do straight carnivore, but my eating habits, my eating desires are changing, just because I have been eating more meat, and the things that I used to crave, I don't crave as much, or maybe I don't crave them at all. And so it's to me, it's like, wow, you know, one of my biggest diet things that I used to eat, I guess, big pizza eater all my life. Like, you know, I could have ate it every day, but there were many times I ate it 3 or 4 times a week, twice a week. Then it kind of went down to once a week, and now the thought of even having one is like, nah, don't need it, don't really want it. I can't say that for everything, but yeah, that's a big one. And so if, you know, my encouragement to you is, if you're struggling to get on the carnivore diet, give yourself time. And I know some people can just jump right into it and everything's okay, and, you know, they go through the withdrawal and they don't feel good for a while, and the first 2 or 3 weeks might be miserable. But honestly, every time that I have tried to do that, it doesn't work. I don't endure very well, and I always fall back into my old eating habits of a lot of sugar, a lot of carbs. And so, but just being more consistent. Say hi, Derby, my riding partner today. Being more consistent, it's just, you know, I'm giving my body what it needs, or more of what it needs, and so I'm not even craving the things that I used to, like I did. And so it might be a slower process, but hey, any way that you can get there, I think, is good. And so there are some things that I'm eventually going to have to just stop, that I'll probably always have a craving or a liking for, and, you know, I will. That's for another video. But I just wanted to hop on here for a few minutes and just say, you know, whether you've gone full force and you've hit the road running, or maybe you've tried it and you think it's not working, stick with it. Because if you just implement more meat and eggs and, you know, bacon, anything beef, some seafood in there, if you just implement more of that, and even have days where it's just all meat, or, you know, all carnivore, your desires and your cravings will change. And so hang in there. I know a lot of people are doing this and they think it's a fad diet, and, you know, now you're hearing a lot of critics about it. I don't think it's a fad diet. I think we're going, you know, whether you're Christian or not, we're going back to the way God planned us to eat. So, you know, in the beginning, you know, if you're familiar with the Bible, we were vegetarians in the beginning. So I don't wholeheartedly believe that plants and veggies and fruits are terrible for you. And then after the flood, God told us that it was okay to eat meat. And so I feel like whatever God told us was okay to eat, man has turned around and said, no, that's not okay. That's the stuff that's bad for you. And that's why we're all sick. That's why we all have health problems. And so, return to the basics. Return to what God created in the first place. And, I do think that if you have a bad metabolism and things are not going well, you should stay away from fruits and vegetables for a while. And then slowly integrate them back in and see how you feel, see how you do with them. But most definitely, if you do, eat them in season. We just had cherry season like 6 weeks ago, and I'm a huge cherry lover, and so I had those in season. But I also found if I ate too much, I wasn't feeling very well, and that's never happened. Watermelon is in season still. So, if you go to the store in October and you see watermelon, I'd leave it alone, okay? But, if you eat fruits and vegetables once in a while and when they're in season, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. No, I'm not a doctor, but, like I said, God was the one who created food for us to eat, and He's not going to give us anything bad. We can overdo it with anything. So, but I do highly recommend a high meat-based diet. Whether you go full carnivore or mostly meat, it does wonders. You feel good. You have more energy. You sleep better. So, I have had, I think one of the problems that I've had not going full board is my health is relatively good. I have I'm older, so I have aches and pains. I'm getting arthritis, but that's just because I'm older. I'm in my mid-50s now, so that's what we should expect when that happens. But let's see. I know a lot of times I'll say what my health problems are, and I say, oh, I forgot that, because honestly, I take medicine for what I do have problems with, and then I don't even think about it. But I do have low thyroid, and I'm started taking iodine, just listening to Dr. Barry and others on YouTube talk about iodine, so that's really helped. Yes, I'm still on the Synthroid. So those two together right now are really helping, and I'm just hoping one day I can wean myself off the Synthroid. I've had bladder complications, so I'm on medicine for that. I've had a rash since I was a teenager that keeps appearing, and every time I go to the doctor, they tell me it's a chemical imbalance. It's some kind of fungus growing on your skin. But I honestly believe now it's because I have always had a high sugar diet. And so if there's fungus growing on my skin and it's chemical imbalance, that's probably why it's there. So I have skin tags, which they say is a relation to insulin resistance. I've never been tested for insulin resistance or fat adaptation, but just hearing people explain, I am 100% sure I'm insulin resistant and I'm not fat adapted. But the carnivore way of eating will get you there. The ketovore way of eating will get you there. So I just hope that, if you're on this carnivore bandwagon, don't give up. You're going to have hard days. It might be a long transition for you, whatever it might be, but it works. Like I said, I feel better. I've lost a few pounds. I have more energy. So just go back to the basics, and let's do what God intended to do for us in the first place. So God bless, and have a good rest of the day. Bye.